Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are LA.
The much-anticipated Freeway Series got kicked off in dramatic fashion last Friday, and it did not disappoint. Starting with an Angels walk-off victory.
Fires it back home, the ball gets away! Here comes Fletcher! Drives home safely!
Then it was showtime as Shohei Ohtani hit his first career pinch hit home run to help the Angels clinch the series.
And it's gone! Pinch hit, go-ahead home run.
Tonight, we travel up the I-5 freeway to Dodger Stadium, where Angels and Dodgers fans alike look to root for their team in this next chapter of the battle for Los Angeles. It's the Angels
Sending Peterson back on cue. Home run trap.
versus the Dodgers.
Kemp picks a high drive to left center field. Track, wall, gone!
Next.
It's another warm night in Southern California. The Freeway Series continues. The Halos took 2 of 3 against the Los Angeles Dodgers last weekend at the Big A. And of course, they are filing in here at Dodger Stadium on this Friday night as we kick off a 3-game set between the Angels and the Los Angeles Dodgers. We welcome you inside our broadcast booth and back to Angels baseball here on Fox Sports West, along with Mark Kubica. I'm Victor Rojas, and before we get to the business at hand, of course, the Angels had some injury news today. Albert Pujols being placed on the 10-day disabled list, dealing with a knee injury, and the hits just keep on coming.
Yeah, Victor, when you think about it, what a good game he had last night. First 2-home-run game of the season for Albert, tying Ken Griffey Jr. in the all-time home run list with his 630th home run. Also tying Ricky Henderson in the all-time hit list. So you expected Albert to come here, put up some numbers. He's had great career success against the Dodgers, but now on the disabled list.
Jose Miguel Fernandez gets to start tonight over at first base as he got called up. But it all falls on Mike Trout's shoulders, and then we've said that for the last several seasons, and now with Albert out of the lineup, no Shohei this weekend, more than likely, it's Mike Trout.
Victor, a historic start really when you think about it for Mike Trout so far this season. He's the first player ever with 25 or more home runs, 100 hits, 80 walks, and 15 stolen bases. This is before the All-Star break. And Mike Trout, so far this season against the Dodgers, also 4 for 10, including a home run against the Dodgers. He's done everything you can imagine to try to help this team win games. His defense has been outstanding, but his offensive numbers are off the chart, going back to first player ever to put up those numbers before the All-Star break.
Well, the Angels will face Walker Buehler, who comes off the disabled list. The former first-round pick has been on the deal dealing with a rib cage injury, and the Angels will counter with Felix Pena. We're going to step away for a moment. When we return, we're going to talk about Felix Pena. Terrific outing last week, kind of making some noise being a part of this Angels rotation.
designed exterior and 31 highway MPG. Test drive one today. By Mercury Insurance, we're on a mission to save you money. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com to get a fast free quote and see how much you can save. And by your SoCal Mazda dealers.
Getting you ready for the opener of this three-game set here at Dodger Stadium, the second edition of the Freeway Series. And we mentioned going to break. Felix Pena's on the mound for the Angels. Gooby, he faced the Dodgers last weekend. Looked very good.
Yeah, Victor, he threw the ball very, very well. Take a look at our tools of the trade brought to you by Ram Trucks. What Felix did so well against the Dodgers last time out, really it started with his command of his fastball, hitting his corners. He's been able to pitch east to west with his fastball, both inside, outside part of the plate on a consistent basis. And when he was able to do that, all of a sudden the Dodgers hitters expanded their strike zone on his breakable. And it was a very good breakable throughout 8 strikeouts in that performance against the Dodgers. Reason why? Fastball was very good, but the breakable was excellent out of the strike zone, get him to swing it non-strikes.
See if they can pick up the opener of this three-game set as we're just about ready for baseball here in Los Angeles. Sit back and relax. Lineups and first pitch when we return. Back out here at Dodger Stadium, the opener of this three-game set with the Freeway Series continuing. Walker Buehler, I like his style. He's on the mound. He's ready to go, so we'll get you the lineups here momentarily as Cole Calhoun will lead things off for the Angels. Halos playing in their 95th game. Come into play with a 48-46 mark. 13 back in the West. Dodgers a half-game lead in the National League West. First one tonight. In for a strike. Here's the lineup for Mike Scioscia's Angels. Calhoun, Simmons, and Trout at the top third of the order. Upton in the cleanup spot at left. Valbuena, Kinsler, Fernandez at first base. Briseño behind the plate. And, of course, in the National League, it's the pitcher, Pena, in the number 9 spot. Cole lifting one out toward left center field. Tolles, the center fielder, moving over. Just like that, we're underway.
Buehler's got that good fastball, average fastball 95.9. My go-tos to be successful against Walker Buehler today. You see those numbers so far this season. First start back from the disabled list. He's got that good fastball going. You just have to put yourself in position to track a high fastball. Throw a lot of four-seam fastballs, be ready to jump on it, and patience early on against them. Work those counts, get yourself in a favorable count, and see if he can get some pitches out over the plate to be successful. Because if he gets on a roll, he is very good. He's young, but he's got outstanding stuff.
Angelton Simmons takes upstairs, and there's a pretty good life on that fastball, as you were talking about. The former #1 pick. Angelton hitting .311, 6 home runs, 41 runs batted in. Ended up going 1 for 4 last night. Single and a walk, 2 runs scored. He'll line this one to left field. It's a 1-out single, so Simba's on board for Trout.
And we talked about how well Trout has hit the baseball this entire first half for the All-Star break. Outstanding numbers, but also solid against the Dodgers this season, 4 for 10.
Halos coming off a series win against Seattle. Dodgers taking 3 of 4 against the San Diego Padres last weekend before the All-Star break. Trout greeted as he is most places out on the road. And when you're a great player.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. When you're a great player, you get booed.
.314 batting average, 25 jacks, 50 runs batted in. Buehler's first one, slow breaking ball, in for a strike. Larry Vanover called the balls and strikes tonight. David Rackley's at first. Nick Marley at second base, and Hunter Wendelstedt at third. The umpiring crew for this weekend series. Quasi shift with Hernandez as second baseman, shading toward the middle.
Buehler pretty quick to the plate. He's only allowed 1 stolen base in 2 attempts against him, but Grandal's only thrown out 21% of base stealers. Angelton Simmons not running as much as he did last year, but still 5 stolen basemen caught twice.
One-out single for Simmons. He's over at first. Trout lays off the high fastball, 2-1. Like last night, on board 3 times with a single walk and a hit by pitch, scored 3 runs. Angels, of course, an 11-2 winner against the Mariners. 15 total hits. This one's to the right side. Hernandez can't come up with it. Goes into the slide prematurely. And it'll go as a base hit. The Angels have runners at the corners here in the first.
Good read by Simmons, too. Once that went off the glove of Hernandez, it's going to slowly go in the right field to Matt Kemp. Trout ends up with a base hit, but also able to go first to third. Trout going the other way. Hasn't done that a lot this season, especially on the ground. But off the glove of Hernandez and in the right field, just off the end of the glove.
That's one of those plays where you go into that slide thinking you might be able to get the lead runner. You're better off just staying on your feet, get the 1 out.
Yeah, have a better shot. Even though Trout runs very well, you're not going to be able to throw out Angelton Simmons, especially the way the defense was set up.
Yep.
That would be a long track for Taylor to get the second base on it.
Halos will take it, though, as Upton will bat with runners at the corners, 1 away. Just at a .249 batting average. We'll look at strike 1. He hit a home run last night, late in the game. A 6th inning, a 3-run shot, ended up going 2 for 4.
Even though early in the game, a big moment here for Upton and the Angels with no more Albert Pujols for 10 days on the disabled list. Needing Justin Upton to come through in these situations. And there's that high fastball. This fastball is going to be 94 to 98. He'll throw a slider, curveball, changeup, occasional cutter. Average fastball 95.9 miles per hour for Buehler. Excellent arm for the youngster.
Upton goes down swinging. 2 outs. Let's take a look at the Dodgers on the defensive side of things. They look like this with Peterson, Tolles, and Kemp in the outfield from left to right. Muncy and Taylor on the left side. Hernandez and Bellinger on the right. Grandal behind the plate.
And Tolles back with the Dodgers with Yasiel Puig on the disabled list, making his 3rd start in center field. One of 6 Dodgers that have played center field this season.
Luis Valbuena, 208. Pinch hit last night. Eventually got 4 at-bats. Went 0 for 4. He gets a start tonight over at third base. We'll look at strike 1.
You also might see Mike Trout on the move, maybe to try even draw a throw to second base, depending on the count against Valbuena. Great speed at first and at third. Grandal, long look into the dugout for the Dodgers.
Kike Hernandez out at shallow right field with the shift on. Taylor up the middle. 2 on, 2 outs. Evens up the count at a ball and a strike. Buehler, 23-year-old native of Lexington, Kentucky. First-round pick out of Vanderbilt back in 2012. Pitched in 8 games, all in relief last year for the Dodgers. Made 4 starts at AAA, and he's been in the big leagues this season. 11th game, 10th start. Valbuena bounces it off his leg. 1-2.
Take a look at our StatCast powered by AWS as far as the shift being on against Valbuena, where he has hit majority of his baseball. It's going to be middle to the right side of the infield when he puts the ball in play. Only 18% of his baseballs in play hit the other way for Valbuena. We have Hernandez well in that outfield grass. Still think it's a good time for Trout to be on the move.
Trout takes off. Valbuena fouls it straight back. So Michael hit back to first base. Halos trying to strike here in the early going. A single by Simmons. Base hit by Trout off the glove of Hernandez. With 1 out, Upton struck out. So Valbuena trying to keep things alive. Trout again takes off. Valbuena chases. So Buehler picks up a couple of strikeouts. We head to the bottom of the first with no scores. Bottom of the first here at Dodger Stadium. Freeway Series continuing. Let's take a look at the lineup brought to you by City National Bank. Dave Robertson, the Los Angeles Dodgers at 51 and 42. We'll have Peterson leading things off at left field. Max Muncy over at third. Kemp is in right field with Puig out on the DL. Bellinger, the cleanup hitter at first. Grandal behind the plate. Taylor at short. Tolles in center field. Hernandez at second. Buehler, the pitcher, batting ninth as they take on Felix Pena. 7th appearance. 5th start for the Halos. Back-to-back starts against the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball well. His fastball is a good one. 2 and 4-seam fastball, 91, 96. His breaking ball, solid, and changeup.
Jock Peterson takes a strike. Left fielder hitting .251, has 13 home runs, driven home 36.
Yeah, my go-to is for him to be successful tonight. East to west with his fastball. It's inside, outside, and stay on top of that slider. Very important not to get around that baseball.
Free and easy delivery by Pena. Peterson cuts through that fastball. And it's 1-2. It's a very good fastball hitting team. We talked about it last weekend. Dodgers with 55 home runs in the month of June. They've hit 14 in July with a .266 batting average as a team. Overall, 125 home runs. That's outside. Evens up to count at 2-2.
When you'll notice with both these starting pitchers, one, you got Felix Pena on the third base side of the pitching rubber, and Walker Buehler's on the first base side of the pitching rubber. Both right-handed pitchers. Good backdoor breaking ball.
Peterson certainly didn't like it just by his reaction at the plate. You get that kind of a reaction from a player, you know that he didn't think that thing's a strike.
Can he backdoor that breaking ball? About a baseball and a half off the outside corner.
I agree with Peterson. You as a pitcher probably say, no, it was a perfect pitch.
Every pitch I threw I thought was a strike, but even that one I would say no.
Yeah. Note
but if you're a hitter right now, you better be swinging.
Yeah.
There's certain umpires, or pitchers umpires, we talk about that a lot, some are hitters umpires. Believe me, you know those umpires when you take them out.
I understand the frustration of Peterson and hitters in general when you're behind in the count at 1-2, you take a pitch, it's 2-2, and you take another one thinking you're going to get to a full count, so you've reversed the count in your favor, and all of a sudden you get rung up.
And the one thing about Peterson, over really since the World Series last year, he's been much more patient at the plate for the Dodgers. Numbers are showing he's being better, more consistent, because he's not chasing. He was chasing a lot of pitches over the last couple of seasons well out of the strike zone.
Muncy takes a strike. Some oohs and ahs from the fans here at Dodger Stadium. And that pitch was a little bit down. It's 2-1. Muncy having a nice season. 272 with 21 home runs, 39 runs batted in. High fastball. And that was a pitch that gave him some trouble last week.
Yeah, especially for a hitter that hits a lot of fly balls, a lot of home runs. Most every baseball he puts in play is going to be in the air, so it's difficult to catch up to a good firm fastball, especially Pena's fastball upstairs like that.
Check swing. Did he go? No, this is Hunter Wendelstedt. Pretty close. Full count.
Mentioned what he has done as far as fly balls and how many he's hit. 42.9% of his fly balls this year have been home runs. So he's trying to lift the baseball. Really a great story for the Dodgers this season. Out of nowhere.
Skies went out to deep right field. Cole pulling back. That is gone. A home run for Max Muncy. On a 3-2 pitch, it's his 22nd home run, and the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead.
And right on cue, what we were just talking about with Muncy. And the Angels have really pitched him well. But on that occasion, he wins the battle. He gets a fastball on the inside part of the plate, and he's ready for it to lift it. It gives the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. The Angels miss an opportunity in the top of the first, and the Dodgers respond right back.
Halos had kept Muncy in check last weekend to the tune of 1 for 11. It's 1 for 1 so far this weekend with a home run. His 40th run batted in. At Kemp, all-star, 316, 15 home runs and 60 RBIs. Kemp DH last weekend, getting to start out at right field, Puig on the DL.
Well, now 2-0 count, put yourself into a fastball count. Matt Kemp has really crushed a fastball this season. The all-star, 393 versus a fastball this season. That's 2 and 4-seam fastball, 10 home runs, but only 197 versus a slider and changeup. Both those pitches that Felix Pena will throw.
And a 4-pitch walk that follows the home run. So it's Cody Bellinger coming out. Bellinger at first base. Hitting 241, 17 home runs, driven home 43. Fernandez will hold Kemp over at first base. It's a pretty good pitch. 1 ball, no strikes. Strikeout, home run, and a walk. Felix Pena to start the bottom of the first. Punching this one down to left field. Pretty good piece of hitting. Temple turning head to third. Bellinger's going to try to go to second. Easily gets in there with a double.
And a two-seam fastball going towards the outside part of the plate. Bellinger did not try to pull that. A lot of times when you do that, you're going to hit a ground ball in an infield in a double play. Instead, he picks up a double. 22nd double this season.
Infield back. And another 1-0 count. Yasmani Grandal, the catcher, comes in batting 239.
He's faced 5 batters so far, and once has he thrown a first pitch strike for Felix Pena. He's been very good as far as doing that as a starter for the Angels.
And 5 1/3 in that start against the Dodgers last Friday. Gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, struck out a career high 8. 76 pitches, that was it.
Tell you what, Felix Pena's got some good running action on his fastball. He has to trust the movement. Don't start a pitch on a corner. Start it towards the middle and trust movement to get hitters to chase. Very difficult to get him to do so when it starts in the corner and runs off the plate.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Looks like Briseño was coming out from behind the plate, perhaps to back pick at second with Bellinger taking that extra lead. Halos with a golden opportunity in the first inning. 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Up to Valbuena, struck out. It's Walker Buehler. Dodgers come right back. Muncy with a home run and threatening with more. Grandal fouls this one back. Outfield straight around. Full count. There's Taylor on deck.
That's the one pitch that had working against the Dodgers at Angel Stadium. You run that two-seam fastball a little bit off the inside part of the plate against the lefties and bring it back and catch a corner. That one unable to do so.
And a walk, second of the inning. They're loaded up. No real command for Pena here in the first inning. Charles Nagy's coming out for his first visit.
That quick conversation will all be about, all right, you're one pitch away from getting through this inning. Now you have the bases loaded, get a ground ball and an infielder, get a double play turned. Just you got to get ahead of the count. Get these Dodgers hitters to expand the strike zone. You know, we touched on it earlier how good they are against fastballs. When you put yourself in those counts, they're going to be very successful.
Taylor's only grounded into 2 double plays this year. He's got Kemp standing at third, Bellinger at second, Grandal at first. Taylor at 256. 10 home runs and 39 runs batted in.
Yeah, you would think when you look at the Dodgers, they're not going to hit it into many ground ball double plays. They're all about trying to lift the baseball, so you're not going to get too much ground ball action. See, even by that swing by Taylor, he's trying to lift that launch angle.
Breakout season for Taylor last year, hit 288. 21 home runs, 72 runs batted in his first full season in the big leagues, 140 games. Does have 8 triples
He's got
this year.
outstanding career numbers with the bases loaded.
Check swing. They want an appeal. He went around. 0-2. The back-to-back breaking balls. He's tailing the hole.
See at this angle if he crossed the plate. Yes. Be very difficult for the way his stride is and his leg kick to be able to stop once he started to committing to a swing for Taylor. There's a lot of movement.
One and two. Almost the pitch that Briseño kind of gave up on a little too quickly. It was out of the strike zone.
Yeah, but sometimes you can present that well to get that call.
I mean, the base is loaded. He's not back picking anywhere. So
No.
what's the hurry to
stay there, keep the glove there.
There's the 1-2. Upstairs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball command has been lacking for Pena. Taylor, the 6th man to come to the plate.
A little bit of a recoil vector in this delivery of his fastball. Instead of getting out in front, talk a lot about working downhill, working over that front leg. Staying tall on the pitching rubber.
Pena's about to throw his 30th pitch of the first inning.
Taylor with 103 strikeouts this season, leading the Dodgers in that category. Pena could use one of them now. Has one already in the game. 8 against the Dodgers last start. And we showed on the pregame show, Felix Pena, when he had that good downward action in his breaking ball, this is the time where he needs that. More lateral movement with his breaking ball.
Ground ball to second, could be 2. Kinsler to Simmons for 1, relay back in time, so he does limit the damage to just 1 run on the Muncy home run. 22nd of the year, the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead as we head to the second. Capital, the MLB All-Star Game, Tuesday, 4:30 Pacific time on Fox. Or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. It's the top of the second. Dodgers up by the score of 1-0, and it's our pleasure to welcome in the man who's calling tomorrow afternoon's contest here at Dodger Stadium, Tom Verducci, to our broadcast booth. And you excited about the All-Star Game coming up on Tuesday?
I am. You know, I think last year the game not counting, pure exhibition. Who would have thought a player would have brought a camera at the home plate and taken a selfie, right? So who knows what we'll see on Tuesday night.
Right. Kind of surprised Joe West and everybody else. Was that Nelson Cruz, right?
Nelson
that
Cruz.
Brought the camera. But overall, I mean, even stories like Matt Kemp and Max Muncy, I mean, just these great stories. And of course, you got the standard superstars that are going to be there, but these kids that are just coming up and continue to produce, it's amazing every single year.
It is. And speaking of kids, we can keep calling them that. The outfield in the American League, Victor, I mean, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, and Aaron Judge. We may be seeing that outfield in the American League for years to come, not just this year.
By the way, do you think any pitchers in the National League will say, you know, my arm's a little bit sore? With that lineup the American League is going to be showing, that's going to be unbelievable to face those guys.
Kinsler flaring one out to shallow center to lead off the inning.
You're right, Gooby. And it's always one of my favorite games because pitchers go right after hitters. The game is played at a really fast pace. You know, pitchers aren't really, they're out there for an inning maybe. They go right after hitters. It's a fun game to watch.
You mentioned last year the game not counting has never really counted for much. I mean, it's always been an exhibition and will always continue to be an exhibition. I know it was part of the home field advantage, but overall, when you see the guys play the game, do you still see the fire in the belly? I mean, even when it was supposedly counting for home field advantage in the World Series, was there ever really that fire that we saw back in the day, maybe when Gooby was pitching in the 80s, even in the 70s, 60s?
Well, Gooby, you probably remember there were times when the league presidents would talk to the teams before the game. They walk into the clubhouse and basically give a win one for the Gipper speech, win one for our league. There was league pride at stake since we've gone to interleague play. That really has dissipated, but individual pride, absolutely, that comes into play. Nobody wants to look bad in front of the best players in the game.
Yeah, we absolutely hated the National League, by the way. I remember Tommy, Tony La Russa telling the stories about that. I said, I'm tired of being called the junior circuit as an American League player. We're like, yeah, we want to beat the National League. And all of a sudden you look out in the National League, you got Strawberry and all those guys coming out and go, wow, this is going to be a difficult task.
Fernandez shooting one out to left field. Peterson was shading him that way. One down, Kinsler back to first. Briseño coming to the plate.
And when you look at surprise teams, actually, as you call the game tomorrow, and the Dodgers now back in first place in the NL West, what teams really jump out? Milwaukee's off to Atlanta. There's some teams that are playing well above expectation or before everyone anticipated them being good.
Yeah, listen, I thought the Dodgers would be good. I didn't think they'd be led by Matt Kemp and Max Muncy. That's a surprise. National League East, biggest surprise for me, both Philadelphia and Atlanta. I thought they'd be improved. They're legit contenders. They're 6-month teams. They're not going away. And the fact that Washington has really struggled, still right around 500, that's a surprise to me this deep into the season.
Obviously, we've got the All-Star game coming up on Tuesday, plus all the other festivities that surround the All-Star game. But you also have the trade deadline coming up at the end of July or thereabouts. Obviously, Manny Machado is the biggest name right now on the market. At least that's the most frequent name we continue to hear about. Where's he going?
No doubt. I've thought all along the best fit was right here in LA with the Dodgers. It's clearly a priority for the Dodgers. But, there's a lot of teams in it. The Yankees, the Red Sox, the Brewers, the Diamondbacks. I'm not sure they have the prospects to satisfy Baltimore. That's why I like the Dodgers. I think they can make a trade prospects, not hurt their 25-man roster. I don't think he'll re-sign here, but I think down the stretch, boy, that's too good of a player for the Dodgers to pass up, at least not making a strong bid.
Does the interesting factor in Baltimore's front office kind of throw a wrench into the whole thing? Because Duquette's on his last year, Buck Showalter's in his last year. Who's really making the decisions with the Orioles? That's got to, I would imagine, maybe throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in there.
That's a great point, and I have heard that from people around baseball. On the flip side of that, those people have a very good relationship with the Philadelphia Phillies people. Matt Klentak came from Baltimore. You see it here with the Dodgers.
Kinsler on the move. Grandal from his knees a little bit late.
Yeah, I thought they might press the issue here, by the way, on Grandal. This 21% throw-out rate as far as base stealers. But you mentioned the Yankees and Machado. It seems odd. You would think they'd be looking more for pitching, potentially starting pitching, than they would be to add another bat. I mean, that lineup is already off the charts as far as, especially that young talent.
Yeah, it is. I think clearly they're still in the market for a starting pitcher. I think their problem is they can't really find someone you can lock in as, say, a Game 2 starter in a postseason series. It's just not a great market for front of the rotation starting pitchers.
Ursenio takes downstairs. He's ahead of the count of 3-1. Pena's on deck. Thought it was on, and I brought this up to Gooby yesterday. I think it was when we were talking about Brian Cashman and the Yankees and Machado, this and that. But Cashman in his tenure has never traded for a short-term rental, especially of that magnitude, of Manny Machado's magnitude.
I got to rack my brain and think about that.
That'd be hard. I mean, that'd be incredible considering all the moves the Yankees have made
all
over
the
years,
resources.
I think there was that year David Justice had the great run for them in the second half of the season. I'm not sure if he was re-signed beyond that year. I seem to recall that being a rental, but that is surprising.
Lifted foul on the first base side, into the seats she goes.
Now what about Cleveland? You're hearing Cleveland trying to, maybe even Adam Jones, speaking of Baltimore. Cleveland is a team also in the market because that window, wonder if it's going to close pretty quickly with their pitching staff.
I agree, and Adam Jones is on the board for both the Cubs and the Indians, partly because he's such a great clubhouse guy, right? And listen, he can still play, but he gives you some intangibles that I think teams in contention want to see. Their priority to me has to be bullpen, though. They're not sure about Andrew Miller or the health of that knee. The bullpen is the worst in Major League Baseball, and they need to fortify it.
Ursenio takes a called strike, 3, 2 outs.
And you mentioned that bullpen. You remember this a couple of years ago. That bullpen was unbelievable in the run through to the World Series, the Game 7 against Chicago. A lot of starting pitchers are going 5 or 6 innings. You think bullpens are taxed now because of that. We used to have that conversation all the time. I mean, all these great arms in the bullpen now seem like they've thrown as many innings as starters now.
Yeah, there has to be a tariff to pay for starters, doing the 5 and fly. And that is bullpen usage, especially year to year, how many times you get up, not just how many times you get into games. What the Indians don't have is basically a new Brian Shaw. He could pitch 70 games a year and come in and match up with power stuff right on right. They don't have a swing and miss right-handed relief guy. Every team in baseball has one. The Indians really lack that element.
First half, Brian Shaw with the Rockies hasn't worked out too well.
No, it hasn't.
That's a lot of mileage on that arm.
That's a great point because I agree with that. You pitch that many games, and they invested a lot of money in guys with some miles on the odometer. Wade Davis and Jake McGee and Brian Shaw. Pitching in Colorado, man, that's tough on the body.
No doubt. Before we let you go, Pena with an 0-2 count here. First half MVP, National League and American League. What do you got?
National League, I'd probably go with Freddie Freeman. He's been consistent. He's the rock in that lineup. The American League, it's hard for me to go off Mike Trout. I mean, sometimes we look for reasons not to pick Mike, and certainly Mookie Betts and Jose Ramirez have just ridiculous numbers for first place teams.
I do like that Freddie Freeman thing. A lot of people don't realize how good of a player he is.
And he is, in every sense of the word, a team leader there. It's a younger team overall. I know Markakis is having a career year this year, but Freddie's their guy. The team revolves around him. Great leadership skills in the clubhouse, and offensively, he's having just another superb season. He was last year until he got hurt.
Is there a surprise story for you in either league, besides the obvious Max Muncy's of the world, who's doing his best Chris Taylor impersonation this year?
The Dodgers seem to have one every year, don't they? Chris Taylor, Max Muncy, Andrew Tolles. Sadly, the best story for me was Shohei Ohtani, and I'm so disappointed, with the UCL damage, limited down to a one-way player. But that was, to me, the biggest story in baseball, and I actually think it was underappreciated. And I know he got a lot of attention, the media was following him around, but nationally, I think people were missing out on, a once-in-a-100-year opportunity to watch someone do what he did.
Yeah, when he was on that roll, especially at the beginning, he had numbers that Babe Ruth had.
Exactly, and it was must-see TV.
Pena, emergency hack, bounces this one to Bellinger. Tom, we appreciate it. Have
Tom.
fun tomorrow, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Have fun, man. Enjoy that flight out to Washington also.
That's right, red-eyed.
1-0 Dodgers. We head to the bottom of the second. Here in the bottom of the second, they'll send the bottom third of its order up with Tolles, Hernandez, and Buehler. And our thanks to Tom Verducci. He gets the call tomorrow's game. And, we originally thought it was going to be Clayton Kershaw going on Saturday, but instead Kershaw is going to go on Sunday against the Angels. Hey, join the Angels next Friday, 7:07 first pitch. Astros in town at the Big A. Fans in attendance will receive a backpack courtesy of the San Diego Zoo Safari Park while supplies last. For more information, go to angels.com. Pena, because he made the last out, takes a little extra time to warm up.
I think there's going to be a lot of conversations with general managers, even at the All-Star game this year. There's going to be some major moves, I think, in baseball. A lot of teams close.
I agree with you. I'm surprised more trades don't get pulled off before the All-Star game. Andrew Tolles, the starting center fielder. 3 for 10 in the big leagues this year. 1 double, 3 runs batted in. Pulls this one toward first, backhanded by Fernandez. He'll take it himself, 1 away.
Starting to get more and more comfortable at first base for Fernandez. 9th start at first, with 15+ starts at first, second, and third base at AAA this year.
One out with the bases cleared. Kike Hernandez up. Kike getting to start at second base tonight. .227 batting average for Hernandez, but 15 home runs. He's driven home 32. No Chase Utley on the day that he announced that he is calling it a career at the end of the season.
It was pretty funny when he first got on the podium there. He said, I just want to announce that he signed a 5-year extension. He goes, this kid.
He signed a 2-year deal going into this season, so obviously he'll forego that salary next season. Pulled toward third. Valbuena watches it go by him and into the corner. Hernandez out to second base. Upton bobbles it, but Kike will stop at second with a double. Thought it was close enough to Valbuena to at least make a diving effort at it. Hernandez in at second with his 8th double of the season.
See a fastball upstairs, and Hernandez was able to bring his hands up and then lines it by Valbuena at third base. It's one of those plays you might not have a play at first, but you want to try to knock that down to keep a double play in order instead. The man in scoring position. Walker Buehler at the plate now. Batting .150 this season.
320, 3 for 20, I should say, in his career.
Yeah, going back even to Chase Utley, what he said in that press conference, he had so many good things to say about Mike Trout. Calling him the best player in the game, maybe one of the best in the history of the game. It's high praise for somebody who's played a lot of years in the big leagues and at a high level himself.
He and Jimmy Rollins, a terrific double play combination for the Philadelphia Phillies. Speaking of the Phillies, there's Chase Utley on the left. Trout not an Eagle fan, or he is an Eagle fan. He's not a Philly fan, maybe.
More likely we'll go there, what, 2 years? Next year is the Central, NL Central, then followed by the NL East next year, or the following year after that.
Didn't go last year, right? Phillies came
to Anaheim, yes. Yeah. Remember, he got a standing ovation every time he came to the plate, which is highly unusual for Philly fans.
Call strike 3. Buehler goes down looking. 2 outs. First strikeout, second strikeout of the night for Pena.
Break the ball, lower part of the strike zone. Persino did not frame that real well, but still got the call. Tried to keep that in the strike zone, unable to keep that baseball there. But Larry Vanover calling what was a strike. Sometimes you get caught in it so much of trying to make sure you keep that ball there. Ball bounces out of the glove of Persino, who's been very good. since his call-up, in which he in his first game hit a home run in Yankee Stadium. One of his 2 hits in his debut with the Angels at Yankee Stadium.
Peterson went down looking. Breaking ball in the first inning.
Well, these Dodgers in this lineup have some guys that swing extremely hard on every pitch.
At the old Pete Rose theory of hitting, swing hard just in case you hit it.
Extremely hard in case you hit it.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Pitching Peterson away, you got to be ready for Upton and Trout. For Peterson to drive a ball. He's got good power to left center field.
Skies this one on the right side. Kinsler calling for it. And that'll do it. We're off to the 3rd inning. Dodgers up 1-0. Top of the order coming up for the Angels with Calhoun, Simmons, and Trout. Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Lexus. The Freeway Series is driven by your Southern California Lexus dealers. Beautiful sunset here in Southern California. The Angels and the Dodgers. Freeway Series continuing. Halos took 2 of 3 last weekend at the Big A. This is the opener of the 3-game set here tonight. Cole leading things off here in the 3rd inning. 1-0 Dodgers. Walker Buehler off the DL. 3 strikeouts, 3 hits allowed, all 3 singles. Worked around a 1st and 3rd, 1-out situation in the 1st inning, punching out Upton and Valbuena. Cole hit a fly ball to left center field in his first at-bat. He's 0 for 1. Two-0 count.
And go back to Buehler, who's on that first base side of the pitching rover. Pretty solid mechanics he has. Under control, good balance. Good count now for Cole to sit on a pitch against him.
Dodgers' #1 prospect is rated by MLB.com and Baseball America coming into the season. 13th best overall prospect in baseball at the start of the year. Two balls, 2 strikes.
You see how impressive that fastball is. The upper part of the strike zone 1 on the inside part at 95, and that one runs away. Now the movement of the infielders for the Dodgers, depending on the count. Got Muncy moved over now on the right side of the infield. Taylor moves a little bit back towards his shortstop hole.
So breaking ball misses. Full count. Simmons on deck, then Trout.
See the approach there for Cole, just letting the baseball travel deep. He's trying to hit that ball to left center field. Peterson playing him to hit the ball the other way, really, towards getting closer towards the left field line. Toll's moving over now more so to left center field.
Three-two. And that's driven out to center field. Tolles racing back to the track. That is gone. Big fly for Cole Calhoun. Knots this game up at 1. 7th home run of the season for Calhoun. 24th run batted in.
And the impressive thing with Cole is he's starting to drive the ball to center field, to left center field, letting the ball get deep in the strike zone. A lot of trust in his new stance where he has his hands set up and letting the baseball get a little bit deeper. It's a fastball, 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Remember, in this at bat, 2 of them by him, and this time sits back and lines that one over the center field wall, tying the game up for Cole Calhoun. 7th of the season, 24 RBI.
Simmons lines one out to left center field. Second hit of the night for Angelton. As Peterson cuts it off. 2 singles for Simba. Here comes Trout.
Number 27, Mike Trout.
Trout had to base it off the glove of Kike Hernandez in the first inning. Eventually stranded at first base.
Already 1 stolen base tonight for the Angels. Ian Kinsler. Trout was on the move back in the first inning. Pretty good sized lead working now for Simmons.
That's lined out towards center field. Playable for Toll. Has to come in and over. Makes the catch. 1 down. Simmons stays at first.
But it's looking at Walker Buehler when he gets in the stretch position. A little bit of James Shields where he has that dip and then gets into the stretch position. Especially when you have that little bit of a movement when you get into your stretch position as a pitcher, throwing off the timing, trying to at least, for the base runner. Gives him a better look at how far the base runner is when he has that initial little dip before he gets into his stretch position.
Upton struck out of the first. Takes downstairs. Home run hit last night, 18th, which was a 3-run shot. 51 runs batted in. And had an opportunity in the first inning to give the Angels the early lead. Ended up striking out on a high fastball. Facing a pitcher who's thrown the ball well, exceptionally well, at home this year. This is foul back. 2-1. Buehler 5 starts at home prior to tonight. 2-1. With a 1.48 ERA. He's limited the opponents to a 160 batting average. A .66 whip. Almost 10.5 strikeout to walk ratio. He's got 3 strikeouts. He's allowed 5 hits already.
Good
2 in the third.
Good count to run right now. You got to have trust in Upton putting the ball in play, though. That was a pretty good pitch to hit. Just missed that one for Upton. I wonder if he goes back to a high fastball now against him. You know, during the course of the bat as a hitter, you're going to get at least 1 pitch to hit. That was the one for Justin. Hopefully he gets another one here, but more likely he's going to have to deal with a high fastball.
One game. Calhoun leading off this 3rd inning with a home run, his 7th of the season. He did so straight away center field. 431 feet. Full count. Ball in the dirt. Simmons will take 3rd. Dawes throw a little bit late. And in scoring position. A wild pitch.
That's one of those plays too, as a base runner. You got to make sure you're going hard because that ball bounced away from Randall, but not that far away. He had a pretty decent play at second. If you kind of cruise in there thinking it's going to be away from him, it's going to be more difficult to get in there, but good hustle by Hamilton Simmons. Another opportunity to drive in a run here for Upton.
And he draws the walk. First free pass issued by Buehler. And we bring up Luis Valbuena with 2 men on. Hey, join us July 22nd for Family Sunday. Stop by the Gate 5 courtyard for fun activities. Stay after the game for Kids Run the Bases. All of that is sponsored by Yakult Probiotic Drink. That is July 22nd. For more information, go to angels.com. Valbuena strikeout, victim in the first. Simmons at second, Upton at first. 1-1 in the 3rd inning.
It's a pretty firm slider he threw up at 92. Ended up walking on a 3-2 pitch. See most times where the right-handed pitcher will throw a slider more so to a right-handed batter. Curveball to a lefty. First pitch curveball. 999th career game for Luis Valbuena. A chance again here.
Can't leave it up at a ball and a strike.
It's great to see Cole smiling. That first half of the season really struggled. Back from the disabled, an adjustment in his hands and his stride. Leg kick, more consistent.
Valbuena cuts through this one, 1-2. That was the Dodgers. Split the 4 games last year. And with this year, both Western divisions playing each other. It's 2 3-game series. We'll go back to the 2-2, I'd imagine, next year.
Here's the thing about Cole. 31 total bases in his 50 games before going on the disabled list. Since coming back, and that's in 23 games, 41 total bases. That's tied for the team lead with Albert Pujols. That's how good he's been as far as driving the baseball since coming back.
Valbuena strikes out for the 2nd time, 2 outs.
He's going to swing and miss at a hard 91-mile-an-hour slider.
Luis showing no signs of getting out of the funk that he has been in pretty much all season. At 163 in the month of June. Coming into play tonight. 3 for 18, now 3 for 20 in the month of July. So it's up to Kinsler to snap this tie. Ian had a base hit in the center field in his first at bat.
My Hyundai key for this game for the Angels to be successful against Bueller and the Dodgers. Please let me get what I want. It's from the Dream Academy from the first Bueller movie.
I see what you did there.
Yes. Looking for one pitch you want and one pitch you want to drive.
Simmons takes off. Bueller steps off. No throw. So credit Simmons with a stolen base. Upton remains at first base.
6th stolen base of the season for Anderson Simmons.
Under control though by Bueller. Just stepped off, didn't balk. Otherwise you'd have runners.
What Anderson did was he was looking at how many times he's going to look back. We always talk about varying your looks back to second base. He timed it. Notice he's only giving a one look at, if that at all, and then he went.
Upton will take second base in the wild. No, they're calling it a foul ball. Larry Vanover throwing the hands up, so Justin will head back to first. Still an 0-2 count.
55 pitches thrown already for Bueller in this game. This is the 3rd inning. .38 of his 55 pitches have been strikes, though.
See why the Dodgers and a lot of scouts very high on Bueller. Upton takes off, little check swing, line drive caught by Bellinger for the 3rd out. Very similar to the check swing base hit that Kinsler had for the win last Friday night.
Cole Calhoun on a 3-2 count, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, ties it up, home run to center field. Solo home run in the 1st inning. 22nd home run, and then Cole Calhoun ties it up with a solo shot in the 3rd inning, his 7th home run of the season. We are tied at 1, bottom of the 3rd. Max Muncy going to lead it off for the Dodgers.
2, 3, and 4 for the Dodgers. Muncy, Kemp, and Bellinger. Getting through a lot of pitches in the 1st inning. Settled down a little bit. Gave up the 1-out double to Hernandez in the 2nd. Nothing else. command an issue in that first. He's at 44 in this game. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Now we miss it down and in.
Take a look at our Kia drive to success as far as most home runs this season in the majors. Yankees at the top, Red Sox, Indians, and then the Angels and the Dodgers, but exactly 126 home runs apiece with 1 each tonight. Yankees have a few guys that can hit the long ball in that team, though. They're at the tops.
They would have the propensity for hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, it's a good park to hit home runs in, too, Yankee Stadium.
Bounce about 3 feet in front of home plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Lifted foul and out of play. Talked about Muncy a little bit last week, the former Oakland Athletic. 27-year-old. Keller, Texas. That's a Dallas-Fort Worth suburb. Went to Baylor. And he'll get tied up with that high fastball. That again, that was the pitch. The Pena got him to swing on and threw in that first at bat, but then went that 3-2 pitch right over the heart of the plate.
Mentioned that launch angle, very difficult to lift the baseball in the air. You see he's trying to bring his hands up and level off his swing, but could not catch up to that fastball up there.
Once he did, to his defense, have a season in the minor leagues back in 2013, which he hit 25 home runs. He drove in 103. That was in his 2nd professional season.
Yeah, we heard that when he was with Oakland from Oakland announcers, how he does have good power, especially in the minor leagues. He didn't quite get an opportunity to play as much as he'd like.
Signed prior to last year by the Dodgers, played all season at AAA.
Playing a lot of different positions, it helps him.
Yeah. No balls, 2 strikes on Kemp. Matt Kemp, an all-star for the 3rd time in his career, the first time since 2012. Lines this one out to left field. Upton is there. Didn't sound like he squared it up. Maybe in on the label a little bit.
Doesn't miss many fastballs, even with a high fastball. Show those numbers, how well he's hit a fastball. We thought, when we watched the games last year, that he was starting to slow down more of a slider bat speed, but he is really quicking up his bat speed this year, and he's crushed fastballs this entire year on his way to the All-Star game.
33-year-old heads back to the dugout. And Bellinger at the plate. He doubled into the left field corner for the 22nd time this year. Did that in the 1st inning. Eventually stranded there. Taylor grounded into a double play, but the bases loaded the first to end that 1st inning.
Trying to get him to have a little bit more of a bend in his knees at the plate to be able to cover that breaking ball on the inner half of the plate. Saw a lot of those in the postseason. His batting average against fastballs this year, .250. At 12 home runs versus a fastball, but .275. He's made a pretty good adjustment versus a slider and changeup this season. When you see it enough, you have to try to make those adjustments at the major league level, and he has so far on a slider and a changeup. Much better batting average against those pitches.
Really dragging the arm with the breaking ball tonight.
It's a dangerous count now against Bellinger. Went with an off-speed pitch. Yeah, we talked about, you remember, Victor, when we were even on the pregame show about Felix Pena, when he gets on top of his break ball, it's much better. Sometimes he gets around it underneath the baseball, flattens it out, forces him to be a little bit slower in arm drag.
And he'll bounce that one for a 2-out walk. Third walk issued by Pena. Just when you thought you were on the verge of a quick 1-2-3 inning, which he's yet to have. He puts a man on. He'll work from the stretch to Yasmani Grandal. Dodger catcher walked in the first.
And you got to pay attention to Bellinger. He's got 5 stolen bases. He runs pretty well.
Well enough to play center field on occasion.
And a lot of people around the Dodgers think might be their best defensive outfielder. And we've seen him be outstanding at first base defensively, including that nice play against Kinsler to finish off the inning.
Oh, and off of Briseño and over the screen, 0-1. Quick throw to first. Cody's back. Ball and a strike.
Briseño with the back pick, but Grandal does not have to get out of the way. More difficult throw for Briseño.
Pretty good lead for Bellinger at first. 1-2. Astros, by the way, earlier tonight shut out the Tigers at home 3-0. Texas beat Baltimore 5-4. Oakland and San Francisco. Baybridge series scoreless at the bottom of the fourth.
Seattle down to Colorado into the 7th inning. They're down 10-6.
Tampa Bay losing to Minnesota 11-7. Down goes Grandal, a strikeout, second of the inning and fourth of the game for Felix Pena. 3 complete here, Dodger Stadium. We're tied at 1.
Angels Baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Try the $4.99 Jack Spicy Chicken Club Combo with toasted sourdough. New from Jack in the Box.
Top of the fourth here, Dodger Stadium. A couple of solo home runs. Muncy and Calhoun, the only scoring thus far. Fernandez, Briseño, and Pena, the bottom third for the Halos against Walker Buehler. Buehler with 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 hits allowed. Jose Miguel Fernandez called up today. Gets the start at first base. Hit a fly ball to left field in the second inning.
See if they continue to try to pitch him inside.
Skies this one out to center. Tolles goes back a couple of steps, now comes in. 1 out.
That's what we saw a lot against Fernandez after some good swings on pitches away. A lot of fastballs in and in off the plate.
Jose Briseño struck out looking the second inning at bat.
Briseño's generally pretty aggressive on the first pitch. Buehler's thrown a lot of first pitch strikes. And one of the odd stats about Buehler this season, when he's been ahead of the count 0-1 and hitters have put the ball in play against him, .625 batting average, 10 for 16.
A 2-1 count. .61 pitches for the right-hander. He's got the pitcher Pena on deck. Broken bat, flare out to left. And Peterson does a nice job of tracking it down for out number 2 as the barrel ends up in the third base coach's box.
Yeah, Peterson, a center fielder by trade, so that tells you he's got good range in the outfield, solid range out into left center field to make a play. Shatters the bat, runs that fastball. Just above the trademark. And Peterson able to run that one down. Again, very good range out in the outfield.
Pena for 1. He bounced one over to Bellinger to end the second inning.
Looking for that first major league hit.
Now 0 for 4. Bouncer. Buehler's got it. That'll do it.
1-3 on the putout. Twice he's hit the ball to that right side of the infield. Still tied at 1. Bottom of the fourth. Coming up. Brewers banquet, timeless moment back on this date. 2010, the third time that the Angels in the Big A have hosted the All-Star Game. Naturally, end up winning that game for the first time since 1996. Jared Weaver, Torrey Hunter representing the Angels in that game. The other two times, 1967, and I remember very well, 1989.
I thought you were saying 67 you remember well.
So, I did. Not quite. Almost remember that well.
Bottom of the fourth, the 1-1 game. Pena just now finishing up his warm-up pitches. The Dodgers will send up Taylor, Tolles, and Hernandez, 6, 7, and 8. Turned out to be a nice crowd here on this Friday night. They've got fireworks after the game. The opener of this three-game set here at Dodger Stadium. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Los Angeles Angels and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the account and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball LP. Chris Taylor 0 for 1, double play ball to end the first. Starting to heat up a little bit. 295 in the month of July. He's lifted his overall batting average to 256 prior to the game. It's a 1-0 count.
That's a perfect spot. Paying a two-seam fastball away.
One ball, two strikes. We're talking about the 2010 All-Star game. Just saw it downstairs, right behind home plate, about 5 or 6 rows. Somebody walking a Kendrys Morales jersey. And he was well on his way to be an All-Star that year before the freak accident at home plate after the Grand Slam against the Rockies.
Yes.
51 games and 11 home runs, 39 runs batted in, hit 290.
Man, we were having a conversation with Mike Socha. We were talking about best first basemen in the American League, and Socha was telling us we felt the same way. Not only was one of the best first basemen in the American League, but all of baseball. Kendrys Morales on his way. A very good fielder at first, but great gap-to-gap power from both sides of the plate. Still a very solid player, but was going to that elite status before breaking that ankle at the plate.
The year before, he finished 5th in the MVP balloting, 2009. Taylor strikes out, 1 away.
That's a great changeup. Take a look at our Nissan pitch cast, locating a changeup perfectly for Felix Pena. Stays on top. Great on that outside part of the plate, located perfectly, set up by a 91-mile-an-hour fastball on the same plane, same location. 5th strikeout of the game for Felix Pena.
First off the glove, ricochets to Kinsler, Pena covering, and got him.
That is why, if you're a youngster at home, that's why anything hit to the right side of the infield as a pitcher, you're always there to cover. And what a play and reaction by Kinsler. Off the glove of Fernandez, and then Kinsler right in position. Ball was hit very well by Tolles. Off the glove, reacts quickly. Pena still getting to the base, able to catch to the base, catch the ball, and get the out. Off the glove, but great reaction by Kinsler with the bare hand, the quick throw, an accurate throw. And that's one of those throws you want a pretty high throw so you can catch the baseball and find the base. Great play by Kinsler.
Go 3-4-1 if you had it on your bingo card.
A bingo.
Kike takes a strike.
I couldn't help myself.
Me, oh my. Kike with a double, his 8th of the year, hitting 227. 15 home runs, 32 runs batted in. One ball, one strike.
Chance for a quick inning here now for Felix Pena at 71 pitches.
Long look in. Hernandez, tired of waiting, backs out. Pulled foul.
It's a dangerous spot against Kike Hernandez.
Neither have action of their bullpen now. The Payne gets 73 pitches.
Jose Alvarez, more than likely you would think he'd be ready if it got to Peterson in this inning.
Cued back to the mound. Pena with a 1-2-3, fourth inning.
Takes it himself.
That's the way it should be.
Yes.
Top of the order coming up for the Angels. We're tied at 1.
Military by sharing a photo or video with hashtag Hats Off for Heroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
Top of the 5th. Halos, Dodgers tied at 1. 5 hits for the Angels, 3 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. 2 solo home runs. The scoring in this one's Buehler will face Calhoun, Simmons, and Trout for the Angels. Cole, a fly ball to center field. That home run is straightaway centered in the 3rd inning. His 7th of the season, 24th run batted in.
Cole 1 for 2 with that solo home run to dead center field his last at bat. Something to keep in mind for Walker Buehler this season in the 5th and 6th inning. Total of 14 1/3 innings pitched in those 2 innings, 10 earned runs allowed. Coming in the game, all 3 of his home runs in the 5th or 6th inning. Pretty good backdoor slider. Been impressive with his consistency as far as velocity on the slider, 88 to 92 range.
Cole hits one out toward left center field. This one's hit well. Tolles at the wall. Gone! Big fly for Cole Calhoun for the second time. It's a 2-1 Halo lead.
Oh, right on cue, Bueller has given up runs in the 5th and 6th inning. Now 4 home runs in these 2 innings combined for Bueller as Cole Calhoun goes back-to-back at bats with home runs. Dave Roberts looks on to see Cole using the middle field to the other way to give the Halos the 2-1 lead. It's a great at-bat, great swing. It's a changeup, 88-mile-an-hour changeup away. Stays back on it. His hands very comfortable at the plate right now.
4th time in his career he's had a multi-homer game. The last one for him was June 1st of last year against Minnesota. Andrelton Simmons takes a strike. Andrelton Simmons, 2 for 2, 2 singles, takes low. And it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Pretty good poke the other way for Cole.
Probably the right pitch for Bueller as far as a changeup, but it was elevated enough where Cole was able to stay back and line that ball out to left center.
Simba launches one out toward left center field, chasing Tolles back, track, and in front of the wall makes the catch. 1 out, a loud one, but it's the first out here of the 5th.
Four times Cole with multi-home run games. Did it in 2015, did it in 2016, 2017, and then this year. That's amazing.
Trout will look at his strike. He's 1 for 2. Singled in the 1st inning.
Well, he's missed location a couple of times tonight, though, where you see him trying to overthrow and make sure he doesn't miss the spot. He was supposed to throw that fastball up and in. That was ended up being down and away. Missed location on that one, too. Grandal giving that location up and in. And it's understandable your first start back from the disabled list. You're going to have times where you're not hitting your spots. And the fact is you're a young pitcher to boot, but his stuff is outstanding.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Imagine another pitch like that, it might get Dave Roberts to talk to Rick Honeycutt about getting some bullpen action moving. Missed badly 2 pitches in a row upstairs. As Rick Honeycutt has done an outstanding job as a pitching coach for a lot of years here.
Cole will go down looking. 2 outs.
That pitch for Trout, we gave up while he thought it was going to be a ball off the plate. 2-seam fastball that runs back close enough where Bueller gets the call. See how much that ran and gets close enough to the strike zone where you're going to get those calls on occasion. Especially we've seen Larry Vanover has called the outside pitch a lot tonight.
So 2 outs, nobody on, and Upton at the plate. Strikeout and a walk.
Well, so far, all 4 of these games in the series have been low scoring and tight games.
Saw that last year. That series split. Great atmosphere at both ballparks.
Yes.
Pena might be done, by the way. Alvarez
that
continues
look,
to lose it, which I don't get. Won't even get a chance to qualify for a W.
Another pretty solid effort, too. 5 strikeouts is 74 pitches. 3 walks, though, but still made some good adjustments.
Upton lifting one out toward right center. Tolles busy this inning. Hauls it in. A leadoff home run for Cole Calhoun, his second of the night. Now with 8 on the season, Angels have a 2-1 lead as we head to the bottom of the 5th.
That's a real good swing on a changeup to generate that type of power. 2 solo shots for Cole. Angels up 2-1.
The Pena's back out to start the 5th. And with Chase Utley being introduced, Mike Scioscia is going to play matchup game here in the 5th inning.
You can tell Felix Pena does not want to come out of the game, which I'd like to see. And I'm sure even Mike Scioscia likes to see that. He wants to be out there deeper in the game.
He's got every right to be upset as he walks off. Second consecutive time he's been pulled early. Angels up 2-1.
Angels baseball on Fox Sports West is brought to you by Hyundai. Get a great deal, more than a great deal on all new Hyundai vehicles. See your Hyundai dealer today. By Carl's Jr. The tempting El Diablo Thick Burger has returned to Carl's Jr. Pick it up before it's gone.
We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Angels up on the score of 2-1. Felix Pena lifted after 4 innings. And with the lead, doesn't even get a chance to qualify for a victory. Chase Utley will pinch hit, pitcher spot. Jose Alvarez will take over on the mound. Pitching change brought to you by Purple Bricks. Alvarez, 47th appearance. 3-3 with a 2.82 ERA. Utley lifts it foul and into the seats. No balls and 2 strikes.
Utley batting 100. Left-handed pitching. Walker Buehler solid in his first game back from the disabled list. 5 strikeouts, just 1 walk. 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs allowed. A couple solo shots by Cole Calhoun. Dodgers got to be happy with his performance.
Utley rips it out to right field. That'll fall in for a leadoff single. Jock Peterson, 0 for 2, left fielder tonight. Struck out looking in the first, popped out to Kinsler in the second. One ball, no strikes. Alvarez last pitched on Tuesday, went 2/3 of an inning. 1 hit, 1 strikeout, faced 4 batters and threw 18 pitches. That's a strike. 1-1.
A lot of times we talk about high leverage innings, certain points of the game more so important than others. And here with Alvarez in the 5th inning. But the thing you got to keep in mind when you look at this lineup for the Dodgers here tonight, there's a lot of power from the left side. So ideally you would like to see Alvarez in that potential 7th inning or so. They're called on here with 3 lefties in a row to start this inning in the 5th.
Ground ball to the right side. Kinsler's got it. Spins around, fires to Simmons. And unable to get that transfer cleared. So Peterson will reach on the fielder's choice. 1 out.
You can see where there he just said it got caught in his glove. Couldn't get the baseball out quick enough to make the throw. And these two have been the best in baseball as far as turning double plays.
So Utley erased. By the way, that pinch hit for him, the 10th pinch hit this year. That leads the Dodgers. He's 10 for 23 as a pinch hitter. Here's Max Muncy. Muncy with a home run in the 1st inning, struck out in the 3rd.
It's a danger spot on a breaker ball inside part of the plate against Muncy. And just a 140 batting average against lefty, but he does have 6 home runs, and that is his zone inside part of the plate against a left-handed pitcher.
Muncy takes just below the strike zone. 2-1. Two. Pena tonight, 4 innings, 3 hits, including the home run to Muncy. 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 1 run. Buehler's done after 5 innings. This one down the left field line, slicing away from Upton toward the corner, and it goes foul.
It's pretty good power the other way.
Out to Upton. 2 down. Peterson back to first. So Kemp will come up now.
Kemp pretty consistent versus righties and lefties. 313 batting average versus left-handed pitching. 317 coming into the game versus right-handed pitching.
Cute foul.
That's a good changeup.
Yeah,
high
very
fastball followed by a very good changeup. The hitter sitting on a fastball got a changeup and located well.
To the left side and into the glove. May have been deflected by Simmons. It's a single for Kemp. Valbuena was going back toward third. I thought that ball was maybe a better chance for him.
Yeah, Anderson's talking to Valbuena about that. There's going to be no play whatsoever, even if he gets to that baseball for Anderson Simmons. Those plays you have no chance at all if you're Simmons. Even get to that ball.
First and second. 2 outs. Here's Bellinger. Bellinger, a little dribbler. Hernandez comes in, feeds it over to Alvarez. The Dodgers will leave 2 on.
Bellinger gets down the line. He's been involved in some real close plays, which he's actually asked Dave Roberts to challenge. Close play at first once again.
New pitcher on for the Dodgers. Replacing Walker Buehler. Caleb Ferguson takes over. This will be his 8th big league appearance this year. 1-1 with a 4.57 ERA. 1 save. 25 strikeouts. 7 walks in 21 and 2/3 innings. Halos here in the 6th. We'll have Valbuena, Kinsler, and Fernandez coming up.
Yeah, Ferguson, pretty firm fastball from the left side. 91, 95. Could even touch 96 with his four-seamer. Curveball, changeup.
Hey, stay tuned during the 7th inning stretch for the Arco game break with Patrick O'Neill and Jose Mota.
That's that fastball that's been a little bit off the plate, been called throughout this entire game by Larry Vanover. You'll see a lot of fastballs from Ferguson.
Valbuena 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Check swing. They wanted a peel. He went around, so Valbuena goes down for the 3rd time. 1 out here in the 6th. Here comes Ian Kinsler. He had 1 for 2, a single in the 2nd, little soft liner, check swing liner to Bellinger to end the 3rd inning. 0-1.
Want to see by the approach by Kinsler. He's looking for something middle in right here. He's going to get something in now. He was looking for it. He got it, but just enough on that fastball for Ferguson to get a pop-up out of play.
Ferguson is rocking it up to the Dodger system. 22-year-old native of Columbus, Ohio. He's pitched at AA and AAA this year. 10 games, 3-0 with a 1.53 ERA. One ball, 2 strikes. Hansel Robles getting ready now. Called strike 3. Kinsler doesn't like the call. Back-to-back strikeouts for Ferguson, 2 outs.
Randall sitting at target in at the plate. Close to the strike zone, might have been a little bit off the plate, but it's one of those ones close enough. As a hitter, you have to try to protect with 2 strikes, especially with the zone we've seen in this game with Larry Vanover behind the plate.
The bouncer toward 3rd. That's the shortstop Taylor with the shift on. And the Angels down quickly here in the 6th. The 1-2-3 inning. It's still a 2-1 Angels lead.
Right now, it's another tight game between the Dodgers and the Angels. Max Muncy got the Dodgers on the board early with a solo shot, 1-0 lead in the first, but Cole Calhoun, 2 solo home runs tonight as the Angels lead the Dodgers here 2-1, bottom of the 6th inning. Another very good game between two rivals.
Hansel Robles takes over on the mound for Jose Alvarez. Alvarez went 1 inning, gave up 2 hits. Ended up facing 5 batters. Robles will face Grandal, Taylor, and Tolles. Hansel's 11th appearance with the Angels, 0-1 with a 2.79 ERA. 10 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 9 2/3 innings. Last pitched on Wednesday against Seattle. Faced 3 batters for 9 pitches. It's been a nice find for the Angels.
His fastballs has a pretty good running action, 95-98 consistently. Good changeup, solid breaking ball.
Yasmani Grandal, a walk in the first, a strikeout in the third. He'll pull this one into right field. Leadoff single. Cole cuts it off. Grandal's not going anywhere. Second consecutive inning. A left-handed batter is led off the frame with a single. Alvarez limited that damage. Let's see what Robles could do with Taylor coming up. Taylor fouls tips this one into the mid 0-1. Double play ball in the first inning, a strikeout in the fourth. This is popped up down the line. Long run for Kinsler, cutting over to foul territory and almost comes up with it. I stabbed at it the last second.
Took a pretty good angle to get to that baseball, too.
I didn't think he had a chance initially, but then I thought he was closing in on it perfectly.
Look how far he's got to go. He's trying to track and see where the wall is going to be, going to try to slide in there and make that catch. He had to go a long distance. Just touching his glove as he slides in there from that short wall.
No balls, 2 strikes. One and 2. And Taylor goes down swinging, 1 out.
Victor, how often have we said the best pitch in baseball still is a fastball located at the knees away? That was 98 at the knees away for a swing and miss. It's an unhittable pitch. All you can do is foul that off and hope you get another chance to swing the bat. That ball was in the glove. That is a perfect pitch.
Tolles fouls it off. Well, Gooby, Jed Lowry had to come out of the game for the Oakland A's. Left leg contusion. The Friday before the All-Star game.
Was added on to the All-Star team.
And perhaps maybe an opening for Anderson Simmons. Toles takes low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Center fielder 0 for 2.
Worthy of being an All-Star. Hamilton Simmons. A couple more hits tonight.
Two balls, 1 strike. Both teams with 6 hits. The Angels with 2 home runs, both by Cole Calhoun. Max Muncy, a solo shot for the Dodgers. 2-1. Toles fouls it off. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Upton playing Toles to hit the ball to left field towards that line. Same thing. Trout favored him over to left center field. Cole well off the line in right.
Scott Alexander getting ready for the Dodgers. The Angels in the 7th have 8, 9, and 1 due up. Busenia, the pitcher spot, Calhoun. Another 2-2 from Robles. Another foul ball by Toles. Oakland and the Giants tied at 1. That game at the bottom of the 6th. Cubs and Padres tied at 3. That game at the bottom of the 6th inning with Petco. And of course, this score here 2-1. Everything else in the books on Major League Baseball. Full count. Ball gets away from Busenia, but not going anywhere. Is Grandal. Rockies ended up beating Seattle 10-7.
Rockies starting to play a little bit better. They've won 3 in a row.
Can't imagine they start Grandal here, do you?
No. As long as Robles holds the ball enough, doesn't give him a running start, I would imagine he's not going to be going.
(3-2). Grandal doesn't go, and Toles passes it foul.
Pretty good at bat for Toles. He's fouled off some real good pitches from Robles.
Total pitches seen thus far. Toles shoots one out the left. Upton pulled it perfectly. Moves back a couple of steps, puts it away, 2 outs.
This is good scouting when you think about it. Had him played right on that part of the left field line towards it. Able to track that down rather easily. Pretty good at bat for Toles, hits it well, but Upton right there to make the play. Think about Kike Hernandez too. He's always ready on that first pitch. You got to locate this first pitch well after a long at bat by Toles against Robles.
You worry about letdown sometimes with
Yes.
pitchers, start,
Yeah.
especially relievers.
Yep.
A slider. 1 ball, no strikes.
It's the right
DK with
pitch.
a double and a ground out.
Even though it's a ball, it's the right pitch. Because you battled, you threw your best pitches. You threw a lot of them. Toles eventually hits a pretty deep fly to left.
Beach ball on the warning track at right field.
Huge crowds down at the Big A for the 3-game set against the Dodgers. Another big crowd here tonight at Dodger Stadium, too.
One ball and strike.
Tight slider. Real good one.
You can see he's always trying to gear up for something on the inner half of the plate.
He's already stepping and open up his front hip to look on the inner part of the plate. Actually, he's got good power. 15 home runs for Kike Hernandez.
Ground ball to short. Simmons. Go to Kessler. They force out Grandals. That lead off single. Stranded. 6 complete. Halos up 2-1.
Now let's take a look at our top tier play brought to you by Arco. What a play this was. In St. Louis, Billy Hamilton going back to the wall, leaps up. This baseball is well over the wall and makes an unbelievable catch. Hamilton, with his outstanding speed, gets back to the wall and robs a home run. What a play.
Halos here in the 7th have 8, 9, and 1 coming up. Briseño, it looks like Fletcher's come out to the on-deck circle, and then Calhoun. Ferguson had himself a 1-2-3 6th inning. A couple of strikeouts. Back out for the 7th. Briseño getting to start behind the plate tonight. 0 for 2. He struck out looking to second, had a fly ball to left in the 4th. Tight ball game tonight. All 3 runs via the long ball. 2 by Calhoun, 1 by Muncy. 0-2.
Zinnia was trying to make that 3 home runs for the Angels with that swing.
Oh, 2. Jose fouls it off. Hadn't heard the news. Albert Pujols placed on the 10-day DL. He will miss 6 games this weekend series and next weekend series with the Astros in town to kick off the ceremonial second half. She'll be ready to go by Monday against the Chicago White Sox.
It's hard to believe after what he did last night in the game. 2 home runs, number 629 and number 630, tying Ken Griffey Jr. Tyler Skaggs, he threw the ball very well himself. The birthday boy, happy birthday, Tyler Skaggs. Last 6 starts, look at that ERA, 0.95 for Tyler. Picked up that W last night, already a career high in wins and strikeouts.
Senya goes down looking, 1 out. Well, had it not been for the stint on the DL, probably would have gotten a start against the Dodgers. One of the 2 weekends.
Yeah.
1 out, nobody out. David Fletcher coming to the plate.
Pitcher number 6, David Fletcher.
Fletcher last night 2 for 5, including his first career major league home run. 273 on the season, 2 doubles, a triple, home run, 7 runs batted in. This is the pitcher spot in the order.
Well, you wonder if Mike Scioscia doesn't make a double switch really when you'd be able to put Fletcher at third and put the pitcher spot, Valbuena spot in the lineup.
Bedrosian getting ready. Pitch the bottom of the 7th. Dodgers have 9, 1 and 2 coming up. Fletcher jumps on this one, punches it out to right. Kemp is there, 2 outs.
With Cole Calhoun coming to plate, what he's done his last 2 at bats worthy of a Carl's Cam replay. In the 3rd inning, dead center field against Walker Buehler, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and then in the 5th inning on a changeup from Buehler, left center field, back-to-back home runs for Cole Calhoun. 7th and 8th of the season as the Angels lead 2-1 with those 2 swings from Cole. Three Angels ever to have 2 home run games against the Dodgers. Napoli a couple times. Garrett Anderson also, along with Cole tonight.
Back-to-back games for an Angels player with multi-homer game. Albert last night, Cole tonight. Good rip at that one.
He was on that fastball. What he has done so well since coming back from the disabled list and the adjustments he's made at the plate, he'll try to turn and drive a ball early, and then when he gets a little bit behind in the count, now he's going to look to serve the ball to left field if it's away.
There's the approach you were talking about.
Well, you remember in the beginning part of the season, he was trying to pull that baseball.
There you go back to last year, second half of last season.
total bases, it really jumps out at you. 31 total base, first 50 games before going on the disabled list. 45 total bases in his last 23 games since coming back from the DL.
Breaking ball bounces this one over to second. That's Kike. And the Angels down in order. So Ferguson has himself a 2-inning stint in which he faces 6 batters, retires all 6. Stretch time here at Dodger Stadium. Halos up 2-1. Time now for the Arco game break with Patrick O'Neill.
Okay, so close to the action, I could go in and pitch. Don't worry, I will not. Let's get right to this Arco game break. Have yourself a game, Cole Calhoun. But first, how about Max Muncy? What a story this player has been for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, let go by Oakland, and now he has 22 home runs. This is the reason why we'll see Muncy in the home run derby. If he hits a fly ball, good chance it's going out. Nearly half of his 22 on fly balls have left the yard. But Cole Calhoun, my goodness, since coming off the DL, and Victor and Mark have been talking about that, crushes this one 431 feet, 107 miles per hour, and then he has 2 on the night. Ever since coming off the DL, the numbers for Cole Calhoun, he's hitting .284, 7 home runs and 13 RBIs, mind you, in just 23 games. Still a lot of baseball left in this one. It's going to be up to the bullpen, certainly. 2-1 Angels on top of the Dodgers here at Dodger Stadium. This has been the Arco game break. We'll get back to Victor and Mark for the bottom of the 7th. But first, here's a word from Arco.
Southern California Toyota dealers. By Heffernan Insurance. Insurance and financial services for you and your business. Visit hefins.com. And by Tough Turtle Turf, a full landscape design company.
Bottom of the 7th, Angels up by the score of 2-1. Couple of changes for the Halos as David Fletcher just pinch hit. Will stay in the game over third base. It is a double switch. Cabadrosian takes over. You see Valbuena shipping over the first base, but Bedrosian will go into Jose Miguel Fernandez's spot in the order. So the 7th spot now belongs to the pitcher as Valbuena stays in at first base. Logan Forsythe will pitch in here for the pitcher spot to lead things off for the Dodgers. Bedrosian, 46th game, 3-1 with a 3.02 ERA. 1 save, 37 strikeouts, 18 walks in 41 2/3 innings. Forsythe, a .201 batting average this season. 10 doubles, 2 home runs, 12 runs batted in. He's 0 for 6 as a pinch hitter. One ball and strike. Top of the order, Peterson on deck, then Muncy. So righty, lefty, lefty. That's a strike. 1-2. A little bit of a delayed call there by Vandover. Roberts doesn't like it.
Trying to get Forsythe to chase that breaker ball out of the strike zone. He's pretty patient at the plate.
2-2. Forsythe hits one back up the middle. It's a leadoff single. He picks up his first pinch hit of the season. That's 3 straight innings in which the Dodgers have had their leadoff man reach. So far so good for Alvarez and Robles. Now it's up to Bedrosian to keep that in check and in line with the other 2 guys. Peterson tonight 0 for 3. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 5th. Couple of lefties in this lineup for the Dodgers. The Angels using Alvarez in the 5th inning. So it's the righties who've got to get the job done. Just off the plate, 1-1.
Almost thought about calling that a strike. It's clearly about a baseball off the corner, though.
To what count? Good lead over at first for Forsythe. 2-1 pitch. Lays off. 3-1.
Muncy on deck. He homered back in the 1st inning. Helped him out. Chased the fastball off the corner.
That was ball 4. But perhaps that called strike 3 in the 1st inning still playing in the back of Peterson's mind, thinking, you know what, it's close enough, might as well hack at it.
Yeah, plus you see it on the bench where a lot of those pitches have been called strikes on the outside part of the plate as a left-handed batter.
A little different in that it's a 3-1 count versus being in the hole with 2 strikes. But now he's got a full count. See what Forsythe and the Dodgers do. Nobody out. We're in the 7th. 2-1 Angels. Throw to first. Kind of an odd play by Luis over at first. I'm sure he saw the baseball.
Others don't run a ton. Just 31 stolen bases in the season.
Forsythe doesn't go. Peterson bounces this one past Valbuena. Forsythe on his way to 3rd. Peterson to 2nd. It's a double, and the Dodgers have runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out.
Tries to go in with a fastball, but it drifts out over the plate. And by Valbuena in the right field. Ends up being a double. 2 runners in scoring position, and to force the infield halfway in.
Infield halfway with Muncy at the plate. 1 for 3 with a home run. Breaking ball for a strike. Muncy line toward the right. We're at least tied. Peterson is going to be stopped at third. Cole airmails everybody. Here comes Peterson, and the Dodgers lead it 3-2. A terrible throw by Cole Calhoun, trying to do too much with Peterson being held up at third base. The Dodgers have taken the lead, and Muncy ends up at second.
And he charged it very well, thinking there was going to be a play just in case Peterson got underneath this throw, and a high throw. Cam Bedrosian didn't quite back as far as you need to be as far as a pitcher on the backup.
Single and an RBI for Muncy. The second run comes across on the error by Cole. His third of the season. And still nobody out here the seventh. Here comes Matt Kemp. Justin Anderson starts to loosen now. 3 straight hits allowed by Bedrosian to start the seventh. Kemp takes that first fastball for a strike. He's been on board twice with a walk and a single. 1 for 2 tonight.
The entire game, the scoring has been Max Muncy and Cole Calhoun. Challenging with a fastball, got it by him at 93. Showed those numbers earlier for Kemp versus a fastball.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Kemp's had a nice run through June and here at the start of July, but a tough one tonight with 3 straight hits allowed. The pinch hit by Forsythe, the double by Peterson, and the single by Muncy. Check swing roller, past Bedrosian, Kinsler barehands it on to first, got Kemp. 1 out.
That's a great play by Kinsler. Come in on the bare hand. Works as if it's a bunt for Kemp. Advances the runner to third with 1 out. Get underneath Cam Bedrosian in all-in-one motion. A solid play by Kinsler.
Socha on his way out. Justin Anderson's going to come in. As we take a look at the replay once again, really nice play by Ian. Bedrosian is done after a third of an inning. Pitching change here in the 7th. Dodgers on top 3-2. Change for the Angels. I'll remind you, the MLB.TV All-Star Sale is here. For $39.99, watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Your subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this sale. Justin Anderson is on the bump, taking over for Cam Bedrosian. 33rd game, 2-2 record, and a 3.62 ERA. And Anderson will face Cody Bellinger with Max Muncy standing at third and 1 out. Intentional walk to Bellinger, so it'll be Grandal trying to set up a double play that finishes off the 7th inning. Second intentional walk Bellinger's picked up this year. Grandal 1 for 2, single, walk, and a strikeout. He's grounded into 8 double plays this season.
Great spot right there with a fastball. You're going to get a ground ball with a pitch like that.
What?
Not a bad idea to try that pitch. It's been called a lot. A chance now to get a big strikeout now. Close.
2-2. First and third and one out. 7th inning, 3-2 Dodgers. Checking at first. Long look in for Anderson. 2-2 got him. The emergency hack by Grandal late on the fastball. 2 outs.
Take a look at it. We Make It Easy, brought to you by SoCal Toyota. And a good sequence to wrap that at bat. Finish him off with a fastball. You see Grandal just trying to make contact. Fastball at 97, located perfectly by Anderson to get that huge strikeout to keep it. The runners at the corners.
Taylor 0 for 3, takes a breaking ball downstairs. Two balls, no strikes. Nine hits for the Dodgers, 6 for the Angels. Anderson, the fourth reliever used by Mike Scioscia. Pena, the starter, went 4. Allowed 1 run on 3 hits. Alvarez 1, Robles 1, Bedrosian to third, and here's Anderson trying to close out this 7th inning. Taylor skies one out the left, not very deep. Upton calling for it.
It's a solid effort right there by Justin Anderson to limit the damage. Angels down 3-2 with Anderson Simmons leading it up.
Pogba and France take on Luka Modric in Croatia in the World Cup final. Coverage starts at 7 a.m. Pacific on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Eric Goodell takes over on the mound. 26th appearance, 3-0 with a 2.86 ERA. Logan Forsythe, who pitch in the pitcher spot, stays in the game, takes over at second base. And that moves Kike Hernandez from second out to right field. Matt no longer in the game.
90-94. So a curveball and a splitter. Two hitters in the lineup coming up here for the Angels have been outstanding on the road. Anderson Simmons coming to game. 348 on the road this season. Mike Trout 337 on the road. Both with hits tonight.
Simmons Trout and Upton for the Angels here in the 8th. Sellout tonight here, Dodger Stadium, 53,000 plus.
Good start.
2 balls, no strikes.
Real good start to this at bat for Anderson Simmons. Patient. Trying to get on base for Trout, who's on deck.
(3-0). Dodgers claiming Goodell from the Mariners off waivers in the middle of May. Product of UCLA, Mets 24th round pick in 2010.
One of those pitches too for Anderson Simmons. He can hit very well to right field. Two for 3 in this game. 348 on the road coming into this game for Simba.
Chopper left side. Muncy cuts in front of Taylor, still be able to make the play. Nice play by Taylor. Stay with that.
Yeah, he almost gets screened on that one. See Muncy trying to cut that baseball off. Wisely gets out of the way. It's an easier play for Taylor with his throw than it would be Muncy. It's going to be more difficult off balance throw to first base with Simmons running.
Trout 1 for 3 tonight with a single.
Now he's in a good fastball count. Go back to my Hyundai key to this game. Please let me get what I want. Now you're in a spot right now to look and get a fastball. Exactly what Trout would want in this spot. Wants to swing at the bat, tie the game up.
Challenger. Two balls, one strike. Back at it again with that fastball a little bit up and in.
Trout 5 for 13 versus the Dodgers this season with a home run.
Upton on deck. 2-2 now. The dirt, full count.
Is that splitter?
Goodell's ready to go. Payoff on the way. Trout rolls a foul.
And right back with that splitter. We're going to try to ride a fastball up and in. Try to a pretty good hack at that fastball. Throughout this season on fastballs, 324 with 13 home runs against a fastball. Got one there, just fouled it off. Randall looking up to see if Trout would looking to anticipate a certain pitch, going fastball away now.
Trout goes down swinging, 2 outs.
Got a fastball, just missed a little bit on the inside part of the plate. Got a fastball, ran back with 94. Two-seamer, gets it by him. Just pulled off.
Upton with a strikeout, walking a fly ball to center. Did not go. He's fallen behind all 3 batters this inning, but Simmons, a 3-1 count to ground down. Trout to strike out on a 3-2 pitch. See if Upton can do something here. He's ahead of the count of 2-0. That is yanked foul.
Kelly Jansen in the dugout for the Dodgers. Not available after 30 pitches last night down in San Diego. He's quite a bit down in San Diego.
It's funny to see a foul ball like that, and all of a sudden you see scrambling in the Dodger bullpen to get ready in a hurry.
You're going to get a swing like that on
Yeah.
2-1 eventually when you're behind on 3 straight batters.
3-1 count. Valbuena's on deck.
Really living on the edge when you're falling behind.
There's a 3-1 to Upton. And he draws a 2-out walk.
Ooh, a 3-1 splitter. I guess when you have that 2-0 pitch, he hits it that far foul. You're more apt to go to a secondary pitch.
So Valbuena coming up.
First baseman number 18, Luis Valbuena.
Luis 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Breaking ball in for a strike. Otani available on the bench, but it's probably why Roberts got Alexander ready in a hurry, just in case Socha decided to do that. You have Marte, Maldonado. Briseño could play first if you were to pinch hit here. A bit of a wide throw. Dodgers up a run. We're in the 8th. 2 outs. Blake Parker loosening for the Angels.
One splitter. Against left-handed batters, about 60% of the time we'll follow it up with another splitter.
Oh-2. Albuena pulls this one to shallow right field. Forsythe has it, and the Angels are done here in the 8th. We'll hit the bottom of the 8th inning. Dodgers still on top. Set here at Dodger Stadium. The Angels took 2 of 3 at the Big A last weekend. The Angels had a 2-1 lead for some time until the 7th, and that's when the Dodgers struck for 2. That's where we stand right now. Justin Anderson, who finished off the 7th, back out for the 8th. Parker was loosening in the pen just in case. Dodgers have Tolles, Hernandez, and Forsythe, the bottom third of their order here in the 8th inning. One ball and strike. Tolles tonight 0 for 3. Got the start out in center field.
Real long at bat, last at bat for Tolles before eventually flying out to Upton in left field.
Meanwhile, Parker does continue to play catch in the pen. Not sure he'd get into the game at this point. That's a called strike 3. Down goes Tolles. 1 out.
Backdoor and a break the ball to be able to get called third strike. It's a perfect pitch. It freezes the hitter. You think it's out of the strike zone, goes around and catches the outside corner.
Hernandez 1 for 3 with a double, takes a strike, and it's 0-2. This one's hit toward short, glove by Simba. 2 down.
And another outstanding play by Anderson Simmons. Hit well by Kike Hernandez. The range and the arm strength.
Second baseman number 11, Logan Forsythe.
Forsythe 1 for 1. He had the single to lead off the 7th inning, scored one of the 2 runs.
The pitch probably Cam would like back because he got ahead of the count against Forsythe. Eventually even it up at 2.
Alexander loosening, he'll get the 9th. The Angels currently have the Kinsler, the pitcher spot, and Briseño due up. 3-0. Jock Peterson on deck. And a 4-pitch walk with 2 outs. Hey, join the Angels for Hawaiian weekend Saturday, July 28th, 6:07 as they take on the Mariners. Stay for a family-friendly postgame animated movie following the Saturday night fireworks show. For more information, go to angels.com. Peterson 1 for 4, doubled and scored in the 7th inning. Takes downstairs. That's 5 out of the strike zone. Justin Anderson after retiring the first 2 batters here in the 8th.
With his fastball.
Not a big lead at all for Forsythe at first base. Now it's downstairs. Caught the inside corner.
Yeah, under control with that slider, a perfect spot. At times, Justin will overthrow both his slider and fastball when he doesn't really need to with the arm he has.
Two. This one's lined and knocked down by Valbuena. He'll take it himself. We'll head to the ninth inning. Angels down a run. Alexander takes over on the mound here and looking to close it out for the Dodgers. Alexander will face Kinsler. Looks like Shohei Ohtani will get a chance to pinch hit, and then Briseño. 4 career saves, all of them coming with the Kansas City Royals last year.
And Alexander fastball, pretty firm fastball, especially sink action. 90-96, so a slider and a changeup.
Kinsler tonight 1 for 3 with a single. One ball, one strike.
See that 94, 95.
Likes to live in the bottom part of the zone, right?
Kind of a little bit like Zach Britton, as far as you throwing his fastball a lot and turn that fastball and sink it.
That's yanked foul.
That one at 96, he's going 94, 95, 96. Started off kind of slow for the Dodgers, been really picked it up though of late.
2 balls, 2 strikes to the leadoff man here tonight. Kinsler chops this one to second. Forsythe has it. 1 down.
Shohei Ohtani on Sunday in a pinch hit role against the Dodgers. Came up with a huge at bat. Dead center field. It's a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Well out the center. First career pinch hit home run. Really a big player in both wins for the Angels against the Dodgers at the Big A, including a walk, stolen base with the third on the overthrow. That's he scored a tying run.
279 of the season, 7 home runs, 22 runs batted in. Three for 7 as a pinch hitter this season.
Left-handed batters is 180 versus Alexander. Has not given up a home run yet to a lefty.
One ball, 1 strike. Fastball in there, 1-2. Briseño's on deck.
It's a bit quick on pitches inside. Shohei Ohtani. Imagine with a swing like that, they might try a slider down and away off the corner.
Alexander ready to go. Way outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Shift on, 3 on the right side. Taylor, the shortstop, the lone man on the left. Two runs, 6 hits, an error for the Angels. 3 runs, 9 hits. No errors for the Dodgers.
Jansen unavailable tonight.
Shohei drives one out to left field. Peterson's not going to get there. Neither is Toles. One hops the fence. It's a double for Shohei Ohtani.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's been really effective against the Dodgers. That's a great swing against the lefty. Lines a double to left center field. In scoring position now. Jose Briseño went with another fastball. This time it got the heart of the plate and he stayed with it. No stride, stays back, lets his hands do the work, and he lines that one. One hops the wall. What a swing for Ohtani.
Tying run in scoring position. Briseño up. He's 0 for 3 tonight. 2 strikeouts and a fly ball to left. Just looking for a base hit here.
Yep, you're just trying to tie the game. You love a pitch to drive out of the ballpark, but you try to be short through the baseball, tie it up.
Brad Dahl going to have a conversation. Here comes Forsythe. Here comes Taylor. Outfield of Peterson, Toles, Hernandez from left to right.
Part of this too is what their strategy also is to try to keep Ohtani somewhat close at second. Toles playing extremely deep in center. Base hit to center should score Ohtani rather easily. Peterson a pretty good arm out and left, 3 outfield assists.
One out double, putting a man at second base. That's Shohei.
Hernandez with 1 outfield assist out and right. Now you got to try to shorten up your swing and make contact. Briseño right here. Alexander's not going to throw anything in the strike zone though. A lot of room on that right side of the infield if you put the ball on the ground.
Fastball, little dribbler, left side. Taylor got to come in on it. Off balance throw and safe at first base. An infield base hit. I'm sure the Dodgers will have a look at it downstairs.
It was real close. It looked like from our angle he got his foot down. And Roberts would definitely challenge that one. He's got that foot down.
Yep. And Jabari Blash has come out as a pinch runner over at first base.
Good hustle by Brissini to beat that one out.
So first and third, one out.
See that foot down just before baseball in the glove of Bellinger.
David Fletcher will be the batter. He pinch hit in the 7th inning, hit a fly ball to right field. Dave Roberts with a quick conversation. Tying run at third, go ahead run at first. Ground ball toward third. This is going to go round the horn. And the throw pulls him off. Tag applied. And Josh Paul will have a look at it, I'm sure. But doesn't seem from Fletcher's reaction that this call has got any chance of being even looked at, as the Angels appear to have dropped the opener against the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight. The final 3-2, Gooby.
Yeah, had some chances early on. Didn't score, had a chance here to tie it up. Double play ball, though, turned very well by the Dodgers. A wide throw. He's able to apply the tag on Fletcher. Ground ball to third, 5-4-3, double play. Dodgers win game one of this 3-game set here at Dodger Stadium.
Tough one tonight for the Angels as the Dodgers come back. The Land Rover above and beyond player of the game, Max Muncy, had the solo home run in the first, the game time single in the 7th as the Angels drop the opener against the Dodgers by the final of 3-2. Stick around, Angels Live postgame show is coming up next.